Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Famvestor Podcast. I'm your host, Sonny Burns.
And I'm your co-host, Sunmarie Burns.
So today, we are not exactly sure what we're talking about, but we'll be talking about something.
It's been a crazy week over here.
It has been very crazy. Oh, yeah, we had Hurricane Ida, is that what it's called?
Yep.
Yeah, that passed through, and one of our properties, basement decided to flood. It's never flooded in the 6 years we owned it. There's a sump pump installed.
It's on top of a hill.
I know. It's on top of this huge hill. It's probably like 300 feet above the river that's down below. So I don't know. 6 years we've owned, never had an issue. There's a sump pump installed. There's French drains installed, but it all failed. So
yes, Hurricane Ida did us in on that one.
Yeah, so I stole a sump pump from my other property in Garfield and put it there, and that evacuated all the water. But
we got half a foot?
Yeah, 4 to 6 inches. Anyway, we had to rip out the carpet, remove some of the drywall. Luckily, there was no insulation, which is a good and bad thing, but there was no insulation to take out.
Now we know our house doesn't have insulation, but at least we don't have insulation rotting from the water.
And then last week, we had a fridge go out on us, so I had to repair that for the tenant, or replace it for the tenant. And we discovered the roof is leaking in our Garfield unit too, so we're getting a new roof.
It was just one small leak, but then after Hurricane Ida, now apparently it's
5 leaks.
5 leaks, as well as the hurricane winds busting in a window, an attic window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's been a lot. And I decided it was a great time to seal coat our driveway, which took a lot of time too.
Yeah.
But there's been something else too. What happened?
We had one of our residents move out, so now we are starting an all-new renovation for that unit.
Yeah, ceilings came down today.
Yeah, taking down some walls, some ceilings, ripping out the old kitchen, installing a new kitchen, replacing some windows. So yeah, just a lot going on, a lot all at once. And it's funny because I feel like this happens a lot, at least to us,
all the time.
In this field of work, you plan to tackle one thing and you're like, now's a good time, there's nothing else on the calendar, let's get this done. And then as soon as you start one thing, everything else starts happening.
When it rains, it pours. We also had 2 lease renewals just a week ago, and that was a whole pain because we wanted to change up the lease terms to allow the tenants to facilitate a lot of the repairs. We wanted them to buy into this home repair program our utility provider provides. So for like $25 a month, their refrigerator, their furnace, and their hot water heater could be covered. And
then it's 24/7 on
can call the number.
Service technician to come out if you have any problems with those utilities. Because we found that those particular utilities, especially the fridges in particular.
Fridge is such a pain. Because food spoils, and then you as the landlord is like, I need to schedule someone to repair it, and then
it's
usually
hard to find someone.
A week to get there, and then when they get there, they're always like, oh, the fridge is gone, or you have to pay $800.
We could fix it; it'll cost $800,
and it might work
or may not work. Right?
Yeah, it's such a pain.
So you end up buying a brand new fridge 2 weeks later, anyway. But so we're hoping that this will alleviate that service problem that we've had consistently over the years, and we realized that it was an issue, and in trying to streamline the process and make a more pleasant experience both for ourselves on the landlording side and for our tenants who are needing this utility with more quicker turnaround time.
Right, especially like furnaces, you don't want that to be to go out in the middle of winter.
And have to wait a few days for that. You want someone to show up day of. So we thought this was a wise strategy to introduce into our leases for our tenants.
Mm-hmm. And we told them, if PSE&G, our utility provider, says that the appliance is no longer good, we as the landlords will replace it for you. But
But you gotta get checked out first.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this has been a very real week in the life of what it's like to be a landlord and the sort of things that you encounter every year or every few years, including some unusual circumstances like freak flooding from a random hurricane on a house with a
Yeah.
top of a hill.
I thought we were good. We made sure to buy all our properties are on hills, I believe. At least
None of them are in flood zones. Yep.
Yeah, but
none of them are really near water.
Yeah, you never know.
But it can still happen. It was funny because we were, just the rain came down so quickly with this particular storm, and I think that was the unique situation that caused the problem in that.
I think they were saying 5 inches an hour or something.
5 inches in an hour, and I think what happened was it overwhelmed the gutters and the sewers, city sewers, and so the water backed up, regardless of where you were. You didn't have to be in a floodplain for the gutters to back up, and when that happened, we weren't the only house on the block. A lot of the other houses also experienced similar flooding in their basements. Thankfully, none of our tenants had anything down there, and it was just basically a little bit of old junk and carpet and stuff. But thankfully there weren't any things being stored down there, because that would have been painful. But we had been having dinner with your family. We weren't even aware that this storm was a hurricane.
We don't watch the news. So we were
like la-di-da. And then we had gone down to meet a contractor, and we're like, oh, we're in the area, let's have dinner with your family. And come 9 p.m., we're like, oh, we should probably head home. We open the door, and there's 5 inches of water on your parents' street. And we're like, oh my gosh, we better get out of here before our car floods and lose our vehicle.
And we make it like 10 minutes out onto the highway, and then all of a sudden we just are like, and we're going through these huge puddles and stuff, and we're like, I don't know if this is such a good idea.
And then they closed down the highway in front of us, and they closed down the highway behind us, and luckily we happened to be on a hill on the highway, and
right, that was good actually.
We spent the night in our van.
Well, till 3 a.m. and then traffic started moving again.
I call that the night. 3 a.m. is morning. We were there all night.
Yeah, from like 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. It wasn't too fun. The kids all slept pretty well, actually surprisingly well. Yeah, we all, and then Sunray and I just slept in the back of the van.
Glad we were in a van with a little extra leg room compared to other vehicles, but thankfully we didn't lose the car to the flash floods.
Anyway, enough about that. We have some exciting news coming up when we return to this podcast after these intros.
You're listening to the Famvestor Podcast. If you're looking to raise your family with intention, gain financial independence, and live a life of true freedom, you're in the right place. Join us as we explore together how to create thriving families, because strong families are the cornerstone for a world at peace.
So, big news. We are expecting baby number 4.
Yay!
Yeah, Sunmi's actually on her 3rd trimester. Baby's coming early December. And it's going to be a boy. So, boy, girl, boy. Exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a little overwhelming, especially with homeschooling. And little Kaylee always wanted to be involved. And Sunmi's trying to teach the boys. I've been trying to help a little bit. But we're really starting to consider getting an au pair. It's just a live-in kind of nanny situation, not full-time, but, a couple hours here and there to help out with different chores and just with the kids, watch Kaylee while Sunray teaches the boys, things like that. So anyway, I'm thinking about just putting out a Facebook request in our local network of like church families and seeing if there's something that'll be conducive for both them and us, and see how that works out.
Yeah.
So
or even, babysitter who comes for a few hours and helps out with the little ones while the older ones are learning. So we'll see what we work out. I mean, anything's possible all the time. We can definitely handle this situation, but I think it'd be a lot more enjoyable for everyone if there was an extra set of hands helping out.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
And anything to say more about the baby?
No, excited. Another little boy to welcome.
Yeah, one interesting thing we found out is hospitals with COVID are only allowing like one parent or one person to join you, right? Like a spouse to join you in the labor room. But apparently doulas are allowed to join. Doulas are like birth coaches, and apparently you can get trained to be a doula in like a single day. So that's something to consider.
If you spent all day online doing the course.
Right.
But we're thinking about that as an option because we've always liked having Sunny there as well as my mom, and it's just a kind of disappointing reality that that's not really being welcomed anymore because of the situation. So we might consider the doula route.
Right. Anyway, things we still have to do is, well, we watched a virtual tour of the new hospital since we moved. We're going to a different hospital. We have to still pack our birthing bag, hospital bag.
Hospital bag.
The birth plan, I think, is going to be pretty standard.
Same thing.
Yeah, and that's all on our resources page. So faninvestor.com/resources. You can see our birth plan, our checklist of hospital bag items. So we have to start prepping that soon.
Yeah, it's
Last
interesting.
trimester.
The more kids you have, the less you think about these things. There's too many other things going on in life to just occupy your mind thinking about.
Yeah, and you just become more minimalist about parenting. No more diaper bags. You just carry around a diaper,
Diaper in your pocket and a couple of wipes. That's all you need.
Yeah. Anyway, I did want to leave, this is going to be a short episode, but I wanted to leave you guys with a thought, something that I've kind of been thinking about a lot recently and something that's pretty powerful. I think I've mentioned it before on the podcast, but just this idea of, challenging yourself and, not going the easy route, but, really building yourself into something great. And that comes from challenging. We talk about in the beginning of the episode, challenges we faced in the last week as landlords. A lot of people look at the glories of landlording or real estate investing, and a lot of the challenges aren't often spoken about. But it is hard, and if it wasn't hard, everyone would do it. And, I want to talk about, comfort not equaling happiness. And how, there's so much of our society has like this instant gratification approach, and that's why there's so much rampant things that I feel are bad. Credit card debt is rampant. Fast food consumption is rampant. I feel like just this, social media consumption, television consumption, it's rampant. Even video gaming just left unchecked. And I feel like, this instant gratification approach takes away so much from your life. And I feel like, this podcast, and I feel like we constantly espouse this disciplined long-term approach. And I've been thinking about, different aspects of life. I talked about like fast food. And, the disciplined approach is to create like a wholesome meal for yourself, plan that out, buy the groceries, cook a good recipe. Takes time, takes effort.
Planning. And
patience, discipline. Yeah. And that's kind of the key ingredients for a lot of these things. It's easy to borrow on credit and buy that new iPhone that you wanted. But it's harder to create a budget for yourself and plan out, okay, I'm saving $50 a month towards that new iPhone, and sticking to it. It's easy to play video games. You don't even have to get out of your underwear. You can play video games. It's very simple. But it's hard to get up and maybe work out. But by working out, you have that self-confidence. You have that respect, and you do something worthwhile. I feel like I've never felt that like high or glory from playing a great video game. Sure, it's fun, but when you've worked on yourself and you've worked on where you want to be, there's so much more.
The satisfaction of knowing you've invested into bettering yourself in some way.
Right.
Even if it's hard work. And almost, I think the feeling of doing something that's hard makes the result or the reward, the final end, all that more rewarding for you, because the effort you had to put into it in order to get to where you are. And if things come easy, you don't value them the same way you value something that you really had to work for.
Right. Yeah, and I think just developing that mindset, it's kind of like a muscle, just developing. I feel like it kind of comes natural to me at this point because I kind of like have this aversion to instant gratification things. I just see them as like there's something wrong with them or there's something bad about them, and I'm always like, okay, is it okay to, indulge in those activities? And to me, I have this like negative connotation to anything that's kind of like instant gratification like that. Probably to an extreme measure, but I feel like it's helped me in my life be the person I want to be. And maybe that's not for everyone.
I mean, I think also the mindset of welcoming challenge, rather than looking at it as a bad thing,
right?
Or something that you kind of, I got to do this, but actually being, wow, an opportunity to challenge and through challenge grow myself. If you can have that mindset or that attitude, then you can really do great things with that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that you definitely have. You embrace challenges.
Yep.
Which is an awesome trait, and I think it's a great thing to work on, like working on that mindset, trying to appreciate the opportunities and challenges that come because it's going to result in some kind of growth.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be great, you have to put yourself in those situations where you're going to come up against these challenges. You're going to come up against these floods, against these broken roofs and broken refrigerators, and figure out how to deal with it. But by dealing with it, you build skill sets, you build confidence, you build a know-how, and you build success.
Right.
And
I mean, to that point, too, you've been training for a triathlon, right? So you have a triathlon coming up in 2 weeks?
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks. And our kids have been doing triathlons all this summer. This will be their fourth?
Yeah, they're joining me. There's a kids' version of the one in Harriman State Park I'm doing on September 25th.
Yeah, and so before I knew you, I really didn't understand why people would sign themselves up for something physically strenuous like a triathlon or a Tough Mudder or a marathon, something like that. I was like, why do people do this? And now I realize like it's a challenge, and it's that mindset of embracing challenge and seeing it as a positive opportunity for growth and personal gain. And I feel like, I see that in all the athletes who compete in these events, as well as in my own family, as I watch Sunny train for it, as I see now my kids working their way, and, they're excited to challenge themselves to a new personal best. I ran a half a mile, let me try to go for 3/4 or a full mile, and I think that it's such a healthy habit to cultivate, in athletics, but it is athletic training, but it's also great mental training, doing these athletic challenges in sports.
Right.
And I've been impressed with that, and now I finally get it. I get why people voluntarily sign up and pay money to be challenged incredibly hard.
Yeah.
But the reward is so sweet afterwards. There's that sense of accomplishment and knowing that you have become greater for it in the end.
Yeah, no, and I've seen that, prior to this summer, I felt like doing 5 laps in a pool was exhausting. Like, I was like, how can I get to a mile swim when 5 laps feels like this? But, just challenging yourself to do it, and I didn't go to a full mile, I did a 1/4 mile like the first day, and then I waited a couple days, and then I did a half mile, all within like the same week. And then I went to like 3/4 of a mile, like a little later on in the week. And then we had our mile swim. But, it took me only about 2 weeks to build up to that mile swim, but it was really just challenging myself and be like, okay, we're doing this. We got to do this now. And what helped is like having a date on the wall, because we had a swim run in Ithaca that I was signed up, and just knowing that I had to get it done and pushing myself to do it and then learning how. And I didn't do it well. Actually, today I just got back from swim lessons because I've never had formal swim lessons. So today was the first time, and then I was like, wow, the instructor kept telling me, he said, I was okay, but he kept telling me things that I wish I had known about swimming better, all these techniques that I have to practice now to try to master. But it was really good. So just constantly improving, constantly trying to be better. I love the growth, and I love the challenges that allow me to grow.
Yeah, I feel like it's very rare that you'll look back on something you challenged yourself to try to do and regret the fact that you took on the challenge. A lot of times you will find something in it, even if it didn't turn out exactly the way you were hoping. You're going to find something in it that you learned and that you were grateful for the opportunity to experience.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a victory in the end or whether there's still room for growth. I feel like it just makes you a better person. So embrace challenge in your life. I guess that's the message we're trying to convey today.
Yeah, I'm still trying to think, what is this episode going to be titled?
This episode is going to be titled The Week Everything Broke Down and Everything Flooded and We Decided to Embrace Challenge.
Right. But yeah, I feel like as a person now, I feel like I really am capable of almost anything. And
Superman.
No, but I do. I feel like I think a lot of people know the movie that you hate. What is that movie called with Liam Neeson?
I hate a lot
Taken.
of movies. I hate that movie.
Right, you hate that movie. But anyway, he's like, I have the skill set. What does he say? He says something like that. I have the skill sets to kill you, or whatever it is. But I feel
edit that out.
I feel like I have the skill sets, these unique skill sets that many people don't have, because I've challenged myself. I've negotiated deals. I've gotten things done that no one else had the I don't know what the want to accomplish. They see these grungy buildings, like, I don't want to tackle that, but I did it, and we did it, and I feel like that gives me this confidence, this feeling that I can really succeed in any aspect of life, just because of all these steps I've grown towards, all these challenges I've surmounted. And yeah,
you have, what's the word? You have tenacity. Is that
yes,
the word?
And I feel like with each success, the more, I don't know, tenacity.
The more
just the easier
confident you are that you
confidence
can,
easier it becomes, and it just becomes a natural way of who you are. And you are a person who gets things done. You are a person who can accomplish anything, and you are capable.
That's a powerful self-belief.
It is, and I truly believe that, because we've tackled some wild things. We've done a lot in our. Anyway, that's enough talking about ourselves. We hope you've gotten something out of this message. We hope that you see the challenges in your life as ways to grow.
Don't just focus on the negatives of, oh, my life is so hard right now.
Right.
Because we're not saying that it isn't. Everyone has some really low points.
And sometimes, when it rains, it pours.
Right.
But think of those moments as these great opportunities for growth.
Yeah, there's always something that can be gained if you approach it with the right attitude and perspective.
Right. Yeah. What's that quote? With every disadvantage comes some advantage. And with that, we bid you guys a good day or good evening or
great week, and hope you can take this and run with it and feel inspired to tackle that thing you've always wanted to do and have been afraid to try.
Yeah. Godspeed, everyone.